Hi, welcome to GamingADD's recap of E3 2021 weekend press conferences. I have with me Dave. Hey, Dave.
That's me.
And Scott.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Okay, so today we're going to just talk over what happened in the press conferences over from the start to Sunday night. And then at the end, we're going to have a top 3 of the best moments thus far in E3. There'll be more press conferences on Monday and Tuesday, so make sure you look for that video. Without further ado, let's get going. What is going on with this E3, honestly? We've had some highs, we've had some lows thus far. I think the majority of the show's mostly over. What do you guys think so far?
I think Xbox destroyed everyone.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to have to agree with that.
Yeah, we're living in a future where everybody says Xbox finally had a good show.
It's been a while, but they definitely dominated the competition this time around.
Yeah, let's dive right in on the Xbox conference. So they showed 30 games on the conference. 27 of them are coming to Game Pass day one. That's an insane number. Let's see, 19 new games in 2021.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking value proposition through the roof. It was already a good deal, but seeing what they brought to the table this time kind of really impressed me.
Yeah, and almost none of those 27 games are games that people aren't going to want to play. Like, all 27 of those games are things you're going to want to play at some point.
Right. I mean, and to me, at this point, Game Pass is like, hey, if I can just download the game and try it out for an hour or so, I've got my $15 worth. Like, I feel like it's better to not buy a $60 game, pay $15, play it for an hour, find out it's not for you, than to spend $60 on it and be stuck with the game. Like that enough is enough value for me, but they're offering so much more from this E3.
Yeah, it's crazy the value that Game Pass is offering people, or just the Xbox in general, compared to where they were at a few years ago. Game Pass really turned things around for them.
Yeah, I'd like to see this Sony take a hint from this and kind of maybe bolster a service or something to a similar degree, because their PlayStation Now just ain't cutting it with 3 or 4-year-old games. I mean, these are day one releases.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of catch up to play with third party games if they do decide that they're always going to be playing a uphill battle with trying to catch up.
Yeah. So the first thing that they showed was just a little quick teaser of Starfield. I don't know except what to say about the trailer itself, except that it's in space and they have sandwiches. And did you guys see anything else of note in that teaser?
No, I don't know anything about the game more than I did from the last time they talked about it. I know it's called Starfield, and I know there's a spaceship.
Yeah, I think Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think Bethesda, like a developer, has basically described it as Skyrim in space.
Yeah, and I mean they've announced they worked on the new engine and they've updated the engine, so hopefully it's not as janky. Finally fixed all them problems. But will some of the charm be lost along the way? I don't know. Without that jank.
I look forward to the jank sometimes.
Right. They did announce the release date of it, which is 11/11/2022, which is exactly 11 years after Skyrim. I thought that was an interesting note there. Everything's 11s for them. It's their big game, so maybe this will be good. And it is Xbox exclusive, which kind of was a point of contention for a while after they bought it, or Sony and them merged. Sorry, Microsoft and them merged. Whether or not these new Bethesda games would be first party, and it looks like they are exclusive thus far.
Yeah, if Bethesda ends up leaving Sony out in the cold, Sony's going to be having some problems.
Yeah, it raises the question, if they're willing to, not release Starfield on PS5, where does that leave Elder Scrolls 6? Where like, are they going to, use their leverage to force Game Pass on Sony's console? Are they going to, just say, sorry, fans of Elder Scrolls, you got to buy our console, or maybe their streaming stick or whatever they're working on that they announced, whatever that ends up being.
Yeah.
So it's looking like Microsoft might be just playing the long game here with all the exclusives and the day one Game Pass. It seems less they care about console sales and more they care about Game Pass subs.
I mean, that's the way they should be anyway, because that's the stuff that's going to lead people to, right now, it's what leads people to getting an Xbox.
Right.
Yep. And then down the road, either forcing themselves onto the Sony platform or just dominating that game space.
Exactly. All right, so Stalker 2 was the next announcement in there. I knew nothing. I have no fondness for Stalker 1, the cult classic of yesteryear. But I'm going to tell you, I was impressed by especially the visuals in this game. It was one of those things where I don't typically like the gray games, but like something they were doing with this really was like fantastic.
Yeah, they did a really great job of world building. They had some really interesting weapons, it looked like. And the design scheme overall seemed to really fit what they were going for.
Yeah, and like the all Russian text, I'm kind of hoping that it or the dialogue, it all stays Russian, because that was one of the highlights of that trailer. I'd say was that they
really had a lot of character.
Yeah.
And it seems like they're going to have a lot of unique and interesting characters. I know some of the people sitting around the fire, I noticed they kind of, would play like a different part, like a scene, including that person. And I was like, well, that's, pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. The weapons looked cool too. That lightning shot the electricity. That thing pretty impressive from a graphical standpoint.
And that scene where the building's coming down, it looked really incredible too.
Yeah, definitely showcasing what we haven't seen on the new consoles much yet. Battlefield 2042. That's the name, right? 2042?
Yep. For
some reason we have a war every 100 years. I don't know. Major, huge world war. Yeah, that same thing there. Graphics look good. Explosions looked great.
Yeah, the weather effects that they've put into there that will apparently be happening inside the large battles with the tornadoes and the sandstorms, and the way you can use those winds combined with like the wingsuits and everything else.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they add, like, it's a dynamic thing with the wind. Like if you run into the sandstorm, you'll get blown all over if you're wingsuiting and things like that. That'd be very interesting gameplay. It's the first time in the show that they showed off the grappling hook, which comes up in many different other games. Seems like everybody's jumping on the grappling hook train.
What a unique and completely original idea.
Yeah. Hey, I'm all for grappling hooks. You want to put more grappling hooks in the game? Do it.
Anything that's going to improve my mobility, sign me up.
Yeah, if I don't have to walk up that staircase and I could just zip up there.
Yeah.
Good for me.
And then they had that ridiculous moment with the C4 and driving the car off of a ramp to blow up a plane, which sounds really cool, but you would never actually do in a practical match.
Right.
Like, I brought this land vehicle to the rooftop of a building to strap C4 on it and drive it into a plane. It seems like there's more efficient ways to do that.
Yeah.
I think those are like some tongue-in-cheek references to some actual like really popular Battlefield moments that have been on, like the guy jumping out of his jet to shoot the other jet with his rocket launcher and getting back into his jet.
Like, as it's falling, yeah.
Like those are actual like events that have happened, and they like that's the EA's way of like, hey, look at these Battlefield moments. They're like really big on that.
Yeah. Yeah, if they can make it more dynamic gameplay, like a la like Metal Gear Solid 5, where everything just evolves as you play, um, that would be a plus. That would be great. I would enjoy that. Of note here, it's 128 players, which is up from the 64 in the last Battlefield. I think was a maximum of 64 in the big battle. So I thought that was cool.
I think
Harnessing
it's
that
different
extra.
on consoles and PC depending on where you
Oh,
play. At
okay.
least it used to be. But I haven't played a Battlefield on PC in a long time, so I don't know if that's still true.
Yeah. And this is not coming to Game Pass. This is one of the 3 games that they announced or they had on the show that was not coming to Game Pass.
In retrospect, I'm kind of surprised they didn't announce it for Game Pass at all. You would think they would slap the Game Pass logo on there, thinking it would eventually come through the EA Play thing. But the fact that they didn't advertise that at all.
Right. Yeah, because they would say Game Pass on the title, and then they'd have another splash screen afterwards that was day 1 Game Pass.
Right.
So, I mean, we all know it'll eventually come through EA Play as long as they're still together.
Yep.
But the question is it going to come to the EA's Big Boy sub? And they didn't want, maybe that was a marketing thing where they didn't want it on there.
Oh, yeah, that could be something EA wanted for their subscription service.
All right, so we got 12 Minutes, which is an indie game from Annapurna. It features some major Hollywood talent, Willem Dafoe and Daisy Ridley. And who was the other one?
James McAvoy.
James McAvoy. Seems like Dave, tell me about this game. You know a little bit more about it than I do.
So from what I understand, you're stuck inside of a 12-minute loop where someone comes into your home and kills your wife, and then you have to start it over each time something happens. Either you die or your wife dies, and you're trying to save her, but you're trying to collect information. And each time you go back through it, you can make different decisions, try and learn different things about the situation so that you can find your way out of it.
Okay. Yeah. As
like
a fan,
one big time loop puzzle type game.
Absolutely. As a fan of 2019's Outer Wilds, get my game of the year that year, I'm digging the time loop thing. So that'll be definitely one. It's out 8/19/21, so August of this year. So yeah, I'll definitely be looking at that.
I mean, I was interested in it when they just said that William Dafoe was doing voices in it. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, I played that Beyond Two Souls just because of Willem Dafoe. Psychonauts 2 is finally coming out, apparently. I'm holding my breath.
Yeah, I don't know about this. I don't think it's coming out yet.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. It's one of those things.
I will say this: it looked like the best looking Double Fine game they've ever made. Like, you can tell that they have gotten some money from Xbox to make things look better.
Yeah, and time too. I think that they cut some content in order to get it out, and then Xbox was like, why don't you just like spend some extra time and work on that? So
it looks incredible in terms of the graphics. And in my head, when I thought Psychonauts 2 or Double Fine, I was like, yeah, okay, it's going to look decent. It's going to be stylized. But when I saw it, I was like, wow, that looks way better than I thought it would.
So we waits to see. Bethesda put the rest of their catalog on Game Pass. I think it's there now. Is that right?
I haven't checked.
I haven't either.
They did. They're going to missing from it already. Because anytime I look, I'm like, yeah, I see everything there that I would look for in a Bethesda.
Dishonored 2, Wolfenstein 2, Evil Within 2. Doom Eternal's on there. Doom Eternal is getting an upgrade, which we'll talk about in a second. And then I think they put Fallout 1 and 2 on there.
Ah, okay.
And a couple others.
Fallout 1 and 2 for PC?
I think so.
Can you play that on console?
I don't think so. I saw a splash screen, like a release picture they showed.
It makes sense for them to put it on the PC portion of it.
Yeah. So Doom Eternal's getting an optimization on 629. 4K ray tracing 60 frames, or a performance mode of 120 frames per second. Hell yeah. I mean, that game needs more frames, let's be honest. More frames in Doom equals better time. So I'm excited for that.
Do you ever turn down more frames? Is there anything ever where you're like, you know what? I need this at 30.
Right. In fact, most games that have a 4K 30 mode or a 1080p 60 mode, or somewhere in between, I usually pick the 60 frames mode.
Yeah.
It just feels smoother, better play. Skyrim, Fallout 76, and ESO are all coming to Xbox Series S and X. They said that ESO is coming to PS5 update, but not Skyrim. That was interesting to me. So it remains yet to be seen if they do that.
Yeah, I mean, it was the Xbox conference, so we don't know. Like, they could announce it at a later date or on a different stream.
Yeah, because I think ESO, the ZeniMax Media, actually said it separately. And Bethesda has yet to make a comment on Skyrim and the Fallout 76 update, if anybody cares. But I know the updates come into PS4, but is there a PS5 version? We don't.
Right.
I haven't heard.
No, they haven't said anything about it yet. But I know this: if it doesn't come to the PlayStation 5, they're making a move. It's a signal in the air.
Yeah. It's like be prepared. We're not putting Elder Scrolls 6 on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Halo Infinite announced a holiday release. We'll see if that gets pushed back again. We don't know yet.
I would not be surprised. It's not like they named a holiday. They could mean Valentine's Day.
That's true. That's true. Campaign, multiplayer, both. Multiplayer is going to be free. We knew that. But they showed some new stuff. Basically, it looks like Halo. But better. Like, more sharp, I guess. They had a 120 frames mode. And they showed some things off with the grappling hook that they didn't show before. You can pick up weapons from the ground, like from away, like.
And you can use it to hijack vehicles. So, it's the best grappling hook of E3.
Yes, we'll give it that. It's official, set in stone, best grappling hook of E3. GamingADD said it here.
My E3 awards. Grappling hook of the year goes to Halo Infinite.
Go for it.
I was gonna say, I immediately think of like the grappling hook whenever they started pulling weapons out of the air, like on the original Halo. You can go and hang them high. We'd always throw grenades on the sniper rifle to blow it back to us. Now we can just use the grappling hook.
Right. Yeah, that'd be sweet. Yeah, honestly, I'm looking forward to that game. I know there's a bunch of memeing around it and all that stuff, but I am looking forward to a new Halo that kind of iterates on the formula, because it got kind of stale. And I'm hoping that they look more into. I think ever since 343 took it over, I've been less and less interested with each release. So hopefully this is a turn in a different direction.
I'm hoping that there's some really good improvement, like modernization of the multiplayer. I think that's one of the areas that I would personally like to see. With it being free to play, I think that with the Master Chief Collection, when like they've been doing like the Battle Pass, not like a paid one, but like just content where you can get skins for your guns, just things to work towards more so than just playing the game. I think we're gonna get a heavy dose of that, and I think that's gonna be good overall for the multiplayer aspect of it.
I think so too. Yeah. They need to change something about it, but yeah. And I think Gears is due for an update too, I think.
Yeah.
They need to change Gears.
I start to feel like we're reaching the point of too many battle passes. Like I'm starting to feel obligated to play too many games. Just for the sake of getting battle pass experience.
Yeah, so like we got tired of loot boxes. So they came up with the battle pass idea to supplement the not raising the price of games. And then they came up with battle pass. So now I'm starting to get sick of that, and they raised the price of games. So Hmm. Well, at
Right.
least Sony did. I haven't seen
But
anything first-party Microsoft yet to tell if they're actually going to do it.
the Battle Pass was also a good way to get around loot crates being illegal in some other countries.
Right.
Yeah.
Diablo 2 Remaster. They showed a little bit of that. I was pretty excited. I'm a Diablo fan, so
Yeah, very excited for that.
they
That
gave
comes
the
out on my
date.
birthday.
Yeah, 9/23/21. Great.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to Dave. He gets Diablo 2 Resurrected. Is it resurrected or remastered?
Resurrected.
Resurrected. I thought so. I wrote remastered, but 4K 60 cross-play progression and 8-player co-op mode. So I might actually buy that on a couple things if it has cross-play progression. So that was a winner to me.
I'm genuinely curious to see what 8-player Diablo 2 feels like.
Yeah, I don't know if you could do that over BattleNet before, if it was limited to 4. I can't honestly remember that, but I never did it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's always been a feature in the game.
In
but
2,
I think,
yeah. I'm maybe sure. I don't know, but I've never done it, so 4's kind of hectic enough. What's 8-player going to look like?
right. Well, I think oftentimes when people would do like the 8-player co-op or anything, like I don't even know if they were actually like. I think everybody would kind of go off and do their own thing, or
Right.
even it was like some people would just be setting up duels outside of town or something, just kind of hanging out. I don't even think that 8 people went into the den of evil or anything crazy like that.
Oh, you know what? Now yeah, you're right. I do remember that. It was more like you logged into a server that had up to 8 people rather than you like invited your friends.
Yeah, maybe you go do some trading or see what's going on
Right.
with that particular lobby that you joined up.
I think if they keep that in there, that'd be pretty cool. Uh, yeah. I mean, cross-platform multiplayer would be sweet, but I'll take cross-play progression for now. We'll see if
We're getting there.
Yeah, we'll see if they allow that.
Sony needs to lighten up a little bit. Now
Yeah.
that you see some of their information has come out about what their cross-platform stuff looks like as part of the Fortnite lawsuit.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was. I can't remember the specific details, but I remember going, that doesn't look good. It was something like they were forcing people to give them a large cut.
The basics of it is that if the market share for them is less than the market share of the amount of hours played, so like if 33% of the hours were on the PlayStation, but they made less than 33% of the profit, then they're owed the difference.
Oof. That's no fun. That's like totally against the spirit of crossplay. Like crossplay is supposed to be like, hey, no matter where you play it, you can play with your friends, but it's like they're wanting paid cuz like if you play with your friends but you're like over on a different console playing with your friends but you spend more time on the PlayStation playing by yourself, then it's like that's not you see what I mean? Like Sony gets paid for that, but that's not.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it to an extent, I guess, because you're like, if people are always playing on the PlayStation, but then they happen to buy their stuff on their phone,
right?
Then Sony doesn't get that profits, even though that person is playing it on the PlayStation.
Yeah, I get it. Somewhat,
but,
yeah, right.
But it does not feel good at all, and you hear it and you go, oof.
Yeah. When everybody's like, hey, let's all play together and be nice. And Sony's like, yeah, we want some money.
Yeah.
Makes you not feel good. Microsoft Flight Sim coming to Xbox Series X and S. I want to know what that game looks like. I want to know what the file size is and what graphical, if they made any graphical concessions there. Because 300 gigs is what the install is on PC, and that's going to take up a vast majority of your Series X, and almost all of your Series X or S. Wait.
Yeah, I think the Series S, after you initialize it, it's like 384 gigs of usable space or something.
Yeah, that's like an entire Series S. So they got to cut that down. They got to pare that down. So
yeah, hopefully they can utilize the SSD in some way that allows them to compress that stuff.
Right. and then be able to compress it, and maybe not because a lot of times they'll put redundant files on because if a hard disk drive is accessing it, then it would take too long for the needle to travel across the disk.
Because that's
so they
the
just
one
make them redundant.
The one big difference that they'll have going from PC to there is that in the PC they have to game plan for people to have hard disks and not SSDs. But once they go to the Xbox, they know it's an SSD.
Right. So hopefully we'll see a decrease in file size. Otherwise, it's going to be almost unusable. Or
like, you may only play this one game on your Xbox Series X.
All right, Dave, you want to take a stab at this next game?
The Ayuden Chronicles. I have no idea if I'm saying that correctly. The spiritual successor to Suikoden. It's made by a lot of the devs that worked on Suikoden. I was real happy when they announced this because I followed it on Kickstarter when they announced it there, and it took off real quick. I'm excited that so many people remember that game fondly enough to want to kickstart this. From what I understand, it has very similar gameplay, very similar art style. The Rising one is like an action game, side-scrolling action game they're going to put out beforehand to kind of get people excited for the full release, which is the 100 Heroes, which is the Suikoden-like game.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for that because I've always said Suikoden was ahead of its time. Like 108 people or playable characters in an RPG was like insanity, right? And they all felt different and controlled different and played different. And that nobody else was doing it. So in a world where there's like a giant collectathon all over the place, where you spend 100 hours just like ticking off boxes on a map, I would much rather spend that time collecting characters that play differently and I can actually use.
Right. So Plus, there's all sorts of different ways you interact with those characters and how you recruit them, and they all have their own stories, so you get a little bit of everything.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that.
And it's day one on Game Pass. So.
Yeah, both of them. I don't even have to waste my money if I don't like it.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Outer World 2's, they announced it. I wasn't sure that they needed a sequel. Did that game do well enough to warrant a sequel?
The game did well because a lot of people... It got all that buzz when it first came out. The first half of it was so good that so many people jumped onto it. I just felt like it really fell flat after that first 20 hours with it, probably.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of people's concession and my own as well. The trailer was funny, though, because it was like, hey, we don't have... What was some of the lines? Like, we don't have... For a game that doesn't have any assets developed in order to show you or whatever.
Yeah.
It kind of poked fun at the, the teaser trailer idea and stuff. So that was entertaining.
Slow motion zoom in on the rocket boot.
Right. Yeah, that was good stuff. Okay, so the last couple things here for the Xbox Bethesda press conference. Forza Horizon 5 has a date, or an announcement and a date, which was cool to see both. I expected the other Forza Motorsport, but I guess they're doubling up on Forza Horizon. I think that's the new direction for the games, really. More people play the Horizon than they do the Motorsport.
I definitely prefer Horizon. I much prefer the arcadey, flighty stuff to the super serious, practicing your runs.
Tuning your vehicle, one gear, then doing a lap. Nope, not good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit too repetitive.
Yeah, too simmy. 11/9/21, so that's this year. A lot of big games this year is the thing too. It takes place in Mexico. The festival moves to Mexico, so you can run through rainforests and mess those all up, I guess.
If the game looks as good as what they showed, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's so incredible looking.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can experience those things, especially if they can get 60 frames a second, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, they use the term photogeometry that they said. So I don't know if they took photos and applied it to the geometrics of the world they created the geometrics around the world, or what that means. But it looked fantastic. I noticed that in the trailer that they showed, I noticed like when you're on top of that volcano, you can see for miles.
Yeah, you see
It was
forever.
crazy, but I also noticed a little like pop in on the side of a hill as they were driving by. But I mean, I wouldn't say it's a detraction at all. It's fantastic looking. The like the effects they have, the fog effects, the everything they showed was whew, not possible on an Xbox One. We'll put it that way.
One of my questions is, I really like the addition of the seasons they had in Horizon 4 with
Mhm.
fall, winter, and spring. Uh, I didn't see anything here to where they showed off a season system like that, but I'd really
I
like to see it return.
I would guess no because Mexico don't have seasons like Europe did or wherever they were last
Right,
time.
right.
So
Yeah.
I don't think we'll get snow.
Let's get a blizzard in
Um,
Mexico.
Yeah, yeah.
they did show some rain effects. I don't know how they'll work that into it, but
hmm
um, and
Yeah.
then
So
they also showed off those custom levels with
yes,
bowling and the pinata smashing and all that stuff. I mean,
looks like Trackmania. Like
right?
Ubisoft
Like
better kick it up a little bit because more people
if
might enjoy this.
yeah, I mean, it's a better looking game overall than Trackmania. So if
Mhm.
they can put out the type of custom levels that Trackmania does and make it about that, especially for people who want to keep playing the game after they finish the primary story, uh, the replayability is through the roof. It's endless.
And with real cars, which I
Right.
don't think Trackmania has licensed cars. So like that's a big thing for racing fans is you have the real cars. They don't want to drive a Pegasus or like whatever they call them in Grand Theft Auto.
A banshee.
Banshee, yeah. All right, and then the last thing, Redfall was announced finally. It was leaked a couple years ago, or it was found in some document or a patent filing from Bethesda, and everybody assumed this would be the subtitle for Elder Scrolls 6, the Redfall. So, surprise, it's not. Dave, what's Redfall?
It appears to be, because they did not actually show any gameplay, but it appears to be a co-op special powers type thing against vampires. I'm assuming some kind of horde mode type thing. The trailer showed some really interesting concepts where they were using their powers to leap into the air and turn invisible. The one girl was using her powers to reload. Um, but yeah, with no gameplay, I can't really say what the game is yet.
Yeah, definitely. It looks cool. The aesthetic's cool. The tone's cool. It kind of has like a campy, jokey feel. Man, I can't put my finger on exactly how to describe it, but uh, yeah, it's the tone's good as long as it keeps up and doesn't get too. It doesn't take itself seriously. It's not self-serious, which is good.
Right.
And that's it, really, for the Microsoft press conference. You guys have anything else to add on that?
Just it's a strong conference with a lot of great games and a lot of competitive Game Pass information.
Yeah, definitely the best conference of the show so far, like by far. Um, yeah. So after that, Square Enix had their conference, showed some new games, some that may or may not. I don't know. There were good parts, and then there was like snoozy parts that I zoned out during.
If you ever wondered whether or not lots of Square Enix was in Japan, you got your answer.
Right, right, yeah.
Everything was super Japanese.
Yep, yep.
They're
Which
like the
I
prime
enjoy. That's not the
example.
parts I zoned out on.
Right.
Okay.
It's just the aesthetic that they use in the Squaresoft Prime games, I guess. Is yeah.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, Scott.
Oh, I was gonna say they're like the prime example of just because you can have a presentation doesn't mean you should.
Right, right. Yeah, a lot of that stuff seemed just like filler to fill time. All right, so let's just get into it. the first thing they showed was about how long was that? 12, 15, 18, 30 minutes of Guardians of the Galaxy?
Say it's about 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seemed a lot longer than it was. But
Yeah.
and also one of the most interesting things that they shown. Yeah. Let's see. They're they kept the aesthetic of the James Gunn movies, it seems. The MCU version of Guardians of the Galaxy. It's got the 80s playlist, 80s rock stuff. I think at one point, did he put the earphones on his head? He put his earbuds in or whatever before a fight?
I didn't notice if he did, but it doesn't mean that he didn't. They were definitely playing that music the entire time.
Yeah,
which I love.
The Pat Benatar, "I Need a Hero" or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Pat Benatar, right? I think so.
Hey, you're the music person here. You should be the one to answer that question.
That's true. I'm actually kind of glad they went through with the MCU vibe. I don't know much about the comic books, and I think it's a smart move to go that way.
It's a very campy comic book too.
Yeah. You're the comic book guy, so you should know.
Yeah, it's a very campy fringe comic book as well. So it very much fits the vibe of the comic equally as it does the MCU.
Yeah, Scott, was there anything in this trailer that you got excited about?
I mean, I'm not really much into the universe itself, but I mean, I did like the fact that it looked very similar to like Dragon Age combat, which I did. I love the Dragon Age games, so I mean,
yeah,
the combat looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's like a more actiony version of Dragon Age, less action than the Avengers game, more RPG, but more. Yeah, I would say Dragon Age. It does. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't particularly like the style bar on the side of it. Just it felt very much ripped out of Devil May Cry, and also I don't like that concept in general. Like I don't even really like it that much in Devil May Cry, where I'm judged based on how stylishly I combat things.
But it is the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, but I do think that's a personal preference less than it is a bad gameplay mechanic.
Right. And I noticed that the dialogue wheel, or whatever you want to call it, because you can't do a dialogue wheel because BioWare has that patented or whatever, copywritten. That thing looked terrible. It had like straight up like white dialogue boxes around the words. I'm
very curious to see how that plays out too, because in the scene where they throw Rocket, it says Rocket's mad at you now, and it has that very kind of Telltale vibe, where like you make that decision, then it says Francis looked at you meanly.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm curious to see if that plays out in any kind of meaningful way, in the gameplay aspect or the story aspect, or if it's just some minor interactions.
Yeah, I would definitely. Yeah. If they can add a little bit more to the formula, like take the live service stuff out and add more to what they did with the Avengers story wise, it's probably going to shape up to be a better game.
Setting the bar low.
Yeah, I know. Hey, the story was all right in that game, okay?
I'm not arguing with you there. You still set the bar low.
Okay. As we were talking about filler in the show, they showed a Final Fantasy Remaster 1 through 6 Final Fantasies remastered on Steam and mobile. That's it. No consoles.
They're so out of touch with where people are actually playing these games. They're just throwing a guess out there, like maybe they're playing it on their computers and their phones, not the consoles. Definitely not there.
Right, and
not to mention the fact that anyone who's a fan of those games owns them probably on 4 consoles already, because they're everywhere. They're already on phones. They've been re-released on the DS. It feels like 1,000,000 times.
Yeah. Let's see. I have them all on the Vita.
Yeah, they're on Vita.
So,
I mean,
it's one of those things where it's like, is this necessary? And also, why did you devote some of your time of this show to show that? I mean, I'm sure the Japanese market.
Is there really someone out there right now who wants to play these games who does not have access to them?
Right, and that's the point I was getting to, is like the Japanese market's probably like looking at this like, oh, cool, but like they already do it. They already have this stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know who this is for really, because the Japanese market, plays more on mobile anyway. So, but they would already be playing them.
Yeah, and then to mention the fact they're talking about a pixel perfect makeover, but like those games were designed to be viewed on CRT screens, not
Right.
LCD screens like we have now. They actually look worse on the newer screens. So they would have to do more than just give us a pixel perfect makeover to make it look good.
Right, and what else are they doing? Like, if they're doing anything else, why didn't they tell us that? Like if they're making it like, because like CRTs emit light in a certain way that has like a glow to it in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Are they trying to emulate that? Like, tell us what you're doing, or are you just like pixel perfect? Are you making the 1 pixel now a block of 9 because the resolution's higher? Like, what are you doing?
Right.
Let's see, Platinum Games brought Babylon's Fall to it. I watched that and it literally said, "Meh, that's a live service game."
Yeah, like I said before, I'm hopeful because it's Platinum Games, because of their resume, because of what they've done. I'm hopeful that the combat can at least be satisfying.
Yeah,
But until people have it in their hands, it's really hard to tell.
yeah, very Japanese looking. I liked the aesthetic at least, but that was probably about all that really caught me from what they showed. It could be great. Platinum's been doing good work here recently, but we'll see. And then the big part of the show, the other standout, Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origins, developed by Team Ninja, Koei Tecmo Japan. Team Ninja of what? I always get these confused. What would they make?
Ninja Gaiden.
Ninja Gaiden, not DMC,
Yeah.
because DMC was Ninja Theory. Okay. What'd you guys think of that trailer?
Chaos.
Go ahead.
That's all. Chaos.
Chaos. I gotta kill Chaos.
It looks great. It looks like I love the aesthetic of it. I love the action, the way the action looks. I hope it feels as good as it looks. I sadly am a sucker for anything with the Final Fantasy name on it.
Yeah, me too. Good or bad.
Yeah.
I even like Crystal Chronicles.
Because I really felt like watching that they did not need to slam the Final Fantasy name on it, but
yeah, it did say the words "a bold new reimagining for the Final Fantasy of Final Fantasy." So what does that mean?
I assume it's the original because it's called Origins. Galban, the bad guy, isn't he the bad guy in Final Fantasy 1? And the 3 guys call themselves the Warrior of Light, who I think is what the heroes in 1 are referred to as.
Yeah, there's 4 of them though.
Right. So maybe they're just reimagining it with 3.
Okay, so when they said a bold new reimagining of Final Fantasy, they likely meant of the actual game Final Fantasy.
Right. I think.
I didn't even consider that. That makes me kind of want it a little bit more, honestly.
Overall, I mean, the combat looked great. I mean, it looks like something that, it kind of gave me some DMC vibes, but overall, it looked really fun.
Which was Ninja Theory, not Team Ninja. But Team Ninja does have a track record of making fantastic, great combat. If you've played any of the Ninja Gaidens, which is remastered on the Switch now, like just came out. It's weird.
That's what everyone's been clamoring for.
Yeah, we want more of that. Yeah, because I remember when Ninja Gaiden came out, I was like, "Wow, this is hard in a good way, and it feels good."
Yeah.
And you know what's funny about that is with it being in the vibe of DMC like that, like Platinum Games does that style so well, and they're not making this one.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, you would expect this to look like to be a Platinum's games. You're right. There's a trial period. Tell me about that, Scott.
So there's a trial available on PS5. It's going to last until the 24th. but apparently people are having trouble getting that right now. The file's corrupt.
Yeah, I guess they forgot to put some acids somewhere or something. I don't know. What I found funny about that was the developer was very humble in saying, the designer or the director was very humble in saying, "We hope that you try this out to give it a chance." I'm paraphrasing, and then like the thing doesn't work.
We hope
Uh,
it works.
I downloaded. I wanted to try it, but
I
no
downloaded
avail.
it twice, thinking that I messed up the download the first time, and that
Yeah.
was when I looked it up and found out that it was corrupted.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I definitely one of the standouts in the show. It made me belly laugh when they kept saying chaos. I think the person who cut that trailer knew exactly what they were doing too.
I really had a moment in the early beginning where I thought that they had somehow made a sequel to Chaos Legion. Like, as many times as they were saying chaos, and with that red-haired kid in the background, I was like, "Is this some sort of sequel to Chaos Legion?"
Yeah, that was a cool game, but
I
Capcom though.
Yeah, no, that was why I was like, "Wait, no, they don't own that." So
All right, so that was the Square conference. I would give it probably a, I don't know, uh, a D. It was pretty bad, except those two games. Um,
I mean,
I don't know what else to say.
they opened strong and they closed strong, and they left a lot of stuff in the middle. It's like a really bad chicken pot pie.
All right, and then we had a PC gaming show as well. Do we need to say anything about that? There's a couple things.
Most of it was just a lot of. I don't want to sound negative by saying it's just indie games. Indie games are awesome. We usually find one or two in a year's time that are like, wow, this is fantastic. But for the most part, I mean, in my opinion, it mostly looked uninteresting, except for that Lemnis Gate. That did look really interesting.
Okay, explain to me what the. I didn't watch this trailer, so this is the one I forgot to watch, I guess. Tell me what that one is.
So they're talking about it. It is basically a mixture of an FPS and an RTS. And basically what you do is you play out your turn and you have about 25 seconds to like do your action basically. Be it, you can go shoot an enemy, you can move your operative, you can set up your next move. But everybody gets a turn and then you'll eventually get to a point where you have to face what's happening, like other players' actions, you're able to stop that action. If like let's say during your turn you're moving into a building, and the player before you actually moved into that building, you can shoot and kill that person, or however it works. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it sounds good. Anytime that they bring back RTS in a unique and interesting way, I'm down to try it out for sure.
It almost kind of felt to me like a newer version of Vandal Hearts 2. I don't know if you remember that,
I
but
do.
where you and the enemy took your turn simultaneously, so you could plan out your turn and you could try to plan your turn out to disrupt what the enemy's turn is going to be.
And what you expect it's going to be, or you don't have
Right.
that information.
I didn't look like you have the information, but I didn't see as much information about it as Scott did, so maybe he could clarify.
So, like, did you play Into the Breach? That was it wasn't RTS, it was turn based, but like you knew exactly what the enemy was going to do the next turn.
Yeah, I played that. I like that. It's a really good game.
Yeah, it is. Did it have that, Scott, or was it more like subverted from you?
I think it's more hidden. Like if it's something that you can see, I mean, then I could be completely wrong, but if you're in the area of another person's actions, you can see it. But hypothetically, if they were like further away, you wouldn't realistically know, unless there's like something that they did to make a massive shift on the map or something.
So there's kind of like a fog of war on the information.
I think so.
Okay, makes sense.
Cool.
Be a cool mechanic.
All right. Anything else from the PC game show?
Very little bit of Dying Light info. They just kind of did like an overview of the story. We got a release date. It's going to be releasing December 7th of this year.
Oh,
So,
more this year. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
It
I know a
seemed
lot
like
of people are excited for that one. That's been, and, I think they has we were getting a lot of like trickling information from it for some time now, and I think there was some rumors of there being some development trouble, and then they're like, no, 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 that's not happening at all. Here's the game where you got a release date.
Yeah, I
Nice.
think at one point they came out and said that they just had to reduce their scope a little bit because they were trying to do too much. And I think
You
that
hate to
scared
see
some
it,
people
but
off.
yeah. But if it comes out with a better game and it's not, it actually releases, then sometimes it's the right call.
Right. Getting the game out is a priority.
Yeah, we're looking at you, Psychonauts 2.
Dying Light 2's been in production almost as long.
Fair.
When are
I
we
hope
getting
they-
Dead Island too?
That game is probably dead somewhere.
On an island. All right, so
I always thought it was weird having those two exist together, like Dying Light and Dead Island. Aren't they made by the same studio? I could be
good
wrong.
question. I'm trying to think of
Dead-
who makes
Dead-
Deep Silver
Dead-
makes.
Deep Silver makes Dead Island.
I don't know who makes Dying Light.
Techland? Is it Techland? No.
Yeah, Techland developer Techland.
Oh.
I don't know why I thought for some reason they were made by the same studio.
Wait, it's published by Warner. Oh, is 2 going to be published by Warner Brothers?
I have no idea.
I know the first one was.
Oh
Or at
no,
least it says-
Techland's publishing 2. Because I was gonna have a question because Warner Brothers had a E3 show, but they just showed Back for Blood because that's all they had. But yeah, never mind.
That's right. I just always thought of Dying Light as like a better version of Dead Island in a lot of aspects.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, I mean it certainly takes itself more seriously, and I think the gameplay is better.
Except for the part where Dying Light makes me sick. But
Techland has a hand in Dead Island as well. By the way, that's probably why you were
I see.
thinking that.
I thought that too when he said it. Yes, that makes sense.
But I mean, Dying Light doesn't have that dude singing "Who Do You Voodoo" all the time, so it definitely loses some points there.
Fair.
Very true.
It doesn't have that epic rap intro.
Okay, so I wasn't able to catch the Summer Games Fest. Was that Saturday?
No, that was Thursday, last Thursday, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Thursday night.
I had a block of time where I was out of commission, so. All right. Metal Slug Tactics. Dave, tell me about that one.
Oh man, it's Metal Slug, but it's a grid-based tactics game. Like I don't know how you can go wrong with it. Like I said, like I love Metal Slug. I love the art style, although I typically don't get to pay much attention to it because I'm frantically trying to stay alive and not get shot. And so the ability for me to take my time and absorb it and look at that art style and have Metal Slug Tactics stress me out in a mental way rather than a reaction time way, I'm really looking forward to.
Nice. Yeah, I typically like when they turn something into tactics based. That Gears Tactics was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I enjoy Gears Tactics as well.
Final Fantasy Tactics, one of the best tactics game of all time. Actually, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, one of the best tactics games of all time.
I still play that game.
Wait, what?
I liked Advance more than I liked the PlayStation one. I hate to say it, but
I don't know that I like you anymore. I mean, honestly, like I love Tactics Advance, but that I get too many red cards. I don't like that.
Oh.
I don't like to play by rules.
That is kind of like one of my least favorite things about the advanced version is like the arbitrary rules that kind of like take away players in your party for no reason.
Yeah, I legit think if they did not have that system, Tactics Advance is a better game.
Yeah. I don't know. I just played a lot more of it obsessively. They're both great, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Planet of Lana.
I think it's Lana.
Had it right.
Did you watch it?
I did watch that.
What do you think of that art?
It's like if you took I I don't want to say construction paper, but because it's not. It's almost like you made it in paint, but it's like super high quality and interesting looking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It reminds me of a painting.
Yeah, a painting.
Yeah.
There you go. Saying
Yeah.
it's made in paint is probably not a good sell.
MS Paint, oil-based paint, same thing.
Yeah.
Spray paint.
Yeah, it looked really good.
Yeah, that art is absolutely gorgeous. I don't feel like they showed enough of the gameplay for me to get a general grasp on it, other than it reminiscent of Inside.
Mm-hmm.
In that side scroller kind of platforming kind of way.
Right.
But man, that art looks so good. Like I'll check it out just for the art style.
Yeah. If it was coming to Game Pass, I definitely would. All right, next.
There's still time.
There is. You're right. And Xbox loves indie games, so
yeah,
let's do it. Phantom Abyss.
They have a big indie game demo thing coming Tuesday.
Who does?
Xbox.
Oh.
Supposed to, I think. Tuesday, I believe they're supposed to have a bunch of the ID at Xbox indie game demos available.
Oh, like demos like on the store?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Looking for some upcoming indie games.
And before any of you start thinking that we're a bunch of Xbox fanboys, we're actually not. We just have nothing to say from Sony. Just to remind you.
I don't even have a Series X, but I have a PlayStation 5.
Right.
So.
All right. Phantom Abyss.
This one looks really interesting to me. The Indiana Jones-esque explore a temple, get an artifact, and escape. But you only get to try each temple once. And you can see the ghosts of the people who tried it before you. And then once someone finishes the temple and escapes with the artifact, that temple is shut down and no one else can play it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really cool concept, and I can't believe nobody's come up with it before.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like how many temples you beat. You know, that's like the streamer stat. How many temples you beat. Because nobody else beat that temple. You're the only one.
Right.
And I thought it was cool. It's like the on the way there, you are just trying to avoid the traps and things like that. And then when you grab the idol or the artifact, like the whole defense system comes up, and now you're running away from like bad guys, like monsters or whatever.
And boulders and your typical Indiana Jones style traps.
Yeah. Wait, do they have traps on the way there? Did you notice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just now you got the big boulders that are gonna. Yeah, it seems cool in that regard because you kind of know the way back, so it's a little less hectic, and you can kind of maybe spend your time getting through the temple.
And depending on how many people have gone before you, you can see where some other people might have messed up because you'll be able to see their ghosts going through it. That's the part that intrigues me. It's like there's that delicate balance of like if you go into one that a lot of people have gone into, you'll have more information.
Right. Or
but if you pick one of the early ones, you have a chance to get in and out of there before anyone else even knows what's going on in that temple.
Right. Yeah, it's cool because I think like Dark Souls have that shadow that kind of says don't go this way, you know. Or you see somebody die and you're like, So imagine that, but like now you're less relying on it because like. You're more relying on it because you will never get this opportunity again. Because in Dark Souls, you'd be like, I wonder if, you know, and then you die and then, I lost my souls. Now I just got to get back to my body. But in here, you won't even get to try it again if you don't closely pay attention to that.
Right.
I see you out here. I see that segue you're setting up.
What?
Dark Souls into Elden Ring.
Oh.
I see you.
Yeah, you called my bluff. All right, so speaking of Dark Souls, Elden Ring finally got some more information on it. It was announced 2019, and now we know a little bit more.
Hey, last year we got to see a guy hammering on a ring, so
Ooh.
We got tons of information last year. It's a From game, or at least that's what it looks like. I mean, From game monsters. It looks really cool. Graphics look great.
Scott, you're a From game connoisseur of sorts. What do you think of this?
I mean, it looks like it looks great. It looks like an open world. I want to say open world, but just like bigger scale Dark
Yeah.
Souls game. Like I think you can mount up. They're saying that there's going to be co-op, which I know how they use co-op in like the Souls games. I wonder if it's going to be more, if it's going to be different than that. But and then from what I understand, like there's going to be like an actual like story being told. Like like the Dark Souls games have always had stories, but it's more like a background or like an abstract story. I think this one's going to be like more forefront in your face.
Yes, penned in part by the infamous George R.R. Martin, who apparently will do anything to keep from writing the last of those Game of Thrones books. But that's good. I mean,
from what I understand, they're trying to make a universe out of it too. Like some press people have said they got emails about the fact that this is going to be like book and a TV show as well.
Oh.
But
he's definitely never finishing the books.
I don't know if any of that's confirmed. That's just what I've heard.
Yeah, we're not getting those those Game of Thrones books. Yeah, and honestly, one of the things that have kind of been missing from the From games is a like story. I'm a story guy. I really like games with story. I'll play a game with story over a game with not story most of the time. And I feel like the story would help me finish a From game, if it had a more in-depth story, or a more forward-facing story, I guess. So this is exciting to me in that regards.
Yeah, they have a very passive story. This seems much more active, I hope. I also love that monster that has the bell on its belly that tolls while it's walking.
Their monster design's second to none, I swear. Yeah. They have some really cool looking enemies.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so for the next part here, I've not watched this Happy's Humble Burger Barn. So I'm going to pull this up on YouTube and just see what it looks like. Okay. Okay. All right, anything I should know before I push play?
Nah, just push play.
All right, here we go.
You can be strong. You can be right. You can change darkness into light. We'll climb every mountain.
This is Five Nights at Freddy's, but at a burger barn.
That's kind of what I'm picking up here.
The music rocks. Yeah, dude. That's creepy. Wait, infractions? They get pissed when you don't serve the right burger?
Is this Karen Simulator?
Karen Simulator 2.0.
This is scary.
Dragging my dead body. Is it made by the people who made Secret Neighbor? Because that's the guy from Secret Neighbor at the end there. Wow.
It's the roller coaster.
Yeah. That's not what I expected. I thought it was going to be a burger sim game, which I guess maybe it is a little bit. It said infractions. I wonder what that means.
Dude, it says it in the trailer. It says this is totally just a burger simulator game. Nothing underneath of it.
Yeah. Nothing at all underneath of it, including the giant animal in the background that looks like it's going to eat you.
Definitely looks creepy as hell. Cool.
Yeah, I didn't. When I watched that, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this right now.
All right,
And
and
I don't
then
feel good.
yeah, it's like a Five Nights at Freddy's. Like you don't feel good while you're playing it. Maybe that's
Yeah.
the draw, though.
Could be.
So Solar Ash, they showed more gameplay than previously announced.
Yeah, they showed some. I think it's their style of combat where he was gliding across a monster and he was knocking out these little pin or syringe looking things out of it to attack it. Movement in that game just looks so much fun. That's all. I just want to get in that game and move around.
Yeah.
Similar to the way like Spider-Man's web shooting feels. Like it just looks like a type of game that I just want to run around in.
Yeah, it does look good. I don't really know what else to say. So we'll go on to Ubisoft. Anything else on the PC or the Summer Games Fest?
No, that's all I got.
Ubisoft had their own little thing, and that was what day?
Oh, Saturday, I think.
Yep, Saturday.
They showed I guess the big marquee thing would probably be the Rainbow Six Extraction, previously known as Quarantine, which they smartly realized was a bad name to call a game in this day and age.
Why would that be a bad name?
What, something happened?
We got some more details on what it is. It's looking like it's using some of the operators from Rainbow Six Siege, but putting them in a more co-op based scenario than if Rainbow Six Siege is a training session, this is what they do when they're not training, right? It's kind of what it feels like to me.
Yeah. Very co-op friendly looking. It kind of reminds me of the very early Rainbow Sixes that were very the co-op modes were very tactics dependent and using all of the little things at your arsenal before it kind of became the trigger happy thing that it is now. I know they still have that stuff, but now it's more about precision firing and precision aiming than it was before.
Right. Yeah, and I mean the aesthetic. What is it? Aliens? Like
I think it's some kind of parasite.
Parasite.
They call it parasitic a few times.
Yeah,
but they never really explain where it comes from, and they do show a meteor hitting the ground, so
yeah,
it could be alien
cool.
origin.
Like, I'm hoping that this is what I thought the Division was going to be.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, because I didn't want like bullet spongy enemies and shit like that in the Division.
I pretty much guarantee some of these enemies are bullet spongy. I mean, big metal dudes with spikes sticking off of them, or whatever those things are. Like,
fair enough. That's gonna be.
They look like they could take a lot of bullets. So
hey, in my opinion, as long as they're wearing like metal and I have to shoot them a bunch, that's okay. But if they're wearing just the same flak jacket that this other guy's wearing, and I gotta dump 10 times more rounds into that, that's when I start having problems.
So you don't like having to shoot a guy in a loincloth multiple times?
No, he should just drop.
Poor Conan the Barbarian.
And then they showed another game, Riders Republic, SSX, but with dirt bikes. I don't know. Modern, updated SSX.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on in that trailer. You got dirt bikes going down mountains and jetpacks and people jumping out of helicopters and all kinds of crazy jumps. It looks like the fun type of chaos that I want out of one of those games.
Right, and a lot better than when they tried to go serious with their SSX stuff.
It looks like a spiritual successor, like Steep.
Oh yeah, Steep. Yeah, I guess that would be more apt kind of thing. Much better than that snow riding they showed on the Xbox that I wasn't impressed with. It looked good. The Shredder, is that what it's called? Shredder.
Yes, Shredder, and I wasn't that impressed with it either.
Yeah, this looked a lot better than that. This looked like if I was going to buy one snowboarding game based on these showings, it would be Riders Republic.
Although
Or
I'm not sure how
Extreme
much
Sport.
Riders Republic is a snowboarding game.
Yeah, well, I meant like Extreme Sports. Sorry.
But yeah, no, everything about that looks fun. It just looks like playing it would be fun. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah. Mario Rabbids, also an announcement. Number 2, second one. Mario has guns again. Looks cool. That first game was great. I'd play another one.
For sure. I wish we could have got to see some gameplay. I understand it's probably early on.
Yeah.
But I'm always down for more Mario and Rabbids, or Rabbids who look like Mario. Either way.
Yes. That was one of the best parts was the Rabbids dressed as the Mario characters in the other one.
Yeah, and it was surprisingly, like, I thought when I got the first one that I would not find it as funny as I did, but I really enjoyed the humor in it, so I really hope they continue that with the second one. I'm curious to see what they bring to the gameplay with the star. What are they called again? The star something?
It looked like the stars from Galaxy. Super Mario Galaxy.
Was that in the first one?
No, there's something in the second one that they're using.
Oh.
I think they're using it to bring more customizable things to the characters. Like each character will have like a star fee thing, whatever it's called, and it will provide them some kind of benefits.
Oh, okay. So like along with the upgrade pass and stuff.
Right.
That's cool.
But they didn't actually show anything, so I don't know for sure.
Gotcha. All right, so that wraps up pretty much the big things we thought were notable for the show. We went on to do some top threes of this weekend.
Yeah, I'm down.
That's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I know what my top one is, but I don't know if it qualifies for real. So you guys go ahead. Scott, you go first if you got them.
I mean, number one for me is it's got to be Elden Ring. I mean, I'm a sucker for the Soulsborne series, and this looks like basically them tying up, making. I'm hoping to be the most complete Soulsborne game that they've created yet. Halo Infinite's got to be number 2 for me. I mean, Halo's been, it's kind of fallen off for me, with 4 and 5, but I'm hoping this is a return to form and they modernize certain aspects of it to, retain a player base longer than they normally do. And for 3, I would put Diablo 2 Resurrected on there, but Blizzard already announced that a while ago. Honestly, it's gonna have to be Battlefield 2042. Call of Duty's really been letting me down here lately with that. Black Ops Cold War just didn't really do it. I think Battlefield 2042, they're gonna get back to the. It reminds me a lot of Battlefield 4, which was my favorite Battlefield of all time. So I'm hoping this is better version of that.
Battlefield 4 is the best Battlefield, hands down.
All right, Dave, what's your top 3?
So I'm going to say my number 3 is probably the Final Fantasy Origins, The Stranger of Paradise, just so I get to say Chaos a few more times.
What did you like about it?
So I'm interested in a retelling of Final Fantasy 1 because I never really... By the time I discovered Final Fantasy 1 was just a bit too dated for me to go back to. So I'm curious as to where they go with that and what the storyline there is, but also the action looks really great and it looks really polished. I've always been a big fan of that Team Ninja combat, so it's going to feel tight. It's going to be fun. Hopefully it's not as hard as those Ninja Gaiden games, though. Hopefully.
Yeah. And your number 1?
Are we skipping number 2?
Did you do? Which ones did you do?
I just did number 3.
Oh yeah, 2. Okay. And your number 2?
Number 2 is Eiyuden Chronicles. I'm really excited to see that game. I love the Suikoden games. I'm excited again, like I said before, that Kickstarter did so well, that so many people helped bring that about, and so many people showed excitement about it ahead of time. So I'm really pumped for that one. And my number one is going to be Metal Slug Tactics. Just
Nice.
the
Dark
art
horse
style,
pick.
yeah, the art style in that, I really love it. I love tactics games. That one seems like the perfect combination of those two worlds. They seem to fit perfectly together. It makes a lot of sense. I'm really looking forward to that one.
Cool. Okay, so I think I've got mine figured out. I'll start with number 3. I'm probably gonna go with the Final Fantasy Stranger of Paradise Origins game for a lot of the same reasons you said. So I don't need to repeat those. Number 2, I'm gonna go with Stalker 2. As a fan of Russian stuff, I'm digging it.
You don't need to share your kinks with everyone.
No, not that far Russian. I like Russians with their clothes on.
Yes.
So yeah, the atmosphere, the weapons, the characterization of the characters they showed was real good. So I'm looking forward to seeing that as a. I guess I'm looking forward to more like next gen stuff with this E3. And then my number 1, the controversial one, is them announcing Starfield as an Xbox exclusive. That's my number 1 moment of E3. I know it's maybe a cop out because I didn't see anything in Starfield, but let me explain. I'm kind of I love competition. I love when there's good competition in a space, and I don't like when a studio rests on their laurels because they're on top. That's one of the things that peeves me. And PlayStation is a very dear brand to me, and it's kind of like upset me over the years how they just kind of like, oh well, we don't need to iterate anything. We don't need to, like, oh, we have a streaming service. That's fine, even though it's junk. It upsets me that they're not allowing crossplay on a lot of stuff just because they, have more market share or whatever reason they want to come saying excuse, but they don't feel like they have to. So I'm hoping that by announcing more exclusives from Microsoft, that creates more competition in the space. Do you know what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, and just let me ask you this: you say you're a big fan of competition in the space. What if this kills the competition?
Well, that would be bad, but I'm excited. It would be bad if Microsoft just comes in and sweeps over everything and like everybody forgets about Sony. But
Yeah.
I don't think Sony's done it before in the past where like with the big debacle with the PlayStation 3 and how hard it was developed for it and things like that. And then they took it back to the roots on PS4 and ended up dominating that everybody moved over to PlayStation and things like that. I think that they have tricks up their sleeve and they have things they can do. They're just not doing them. So, yeah, I mean, I was a little worried when Microsoft started just buying everything up. And I still am a little worried about that, but I would like to see.
I don't believe there's any amount of revamping they could do to PlayStation now to make it compete with Game Pass.
No, it's just the tech's not as good. It was good, 7 years ago or whatever, when they however long it was when they purchased Gaikai, but like it's progressed so much more, and that service just hasn't. Yeah. So we'll see. But anyway, that's my best moment of the weekend. We have more to come this weekend. We have more to come this week with Capcom and Take-Two having their press conferences and Nintendo on Tuesday. So we will do another recap of everything over from Monday and Tuesday's press conferences. Nintendo promises to be a big thing, so make sure you look for that video. Anything else you guys want to say?
I'd like to give an honorable mention to moments of E3 to Sam Porter Bridges jumping into a box.
Yes. Yeah, go watch that Death Stranding extended cut?
The director's cut, I think?
Cut.
Director's cut. Like he didn't already put everything he wanted to in the game in the first place. But okay, but yeah, go watch that because it's a good watch. And that's it. Thanks, guys, for watching.
Yeah.